It is Monday, the 5th of February, 2024, and I'm going to be discussing flat Earth. And it's a topic that people think is crazy. However, I've been where you are or where you've been. If you're not already on the flat Earth side or electromagnetic Earth that's being projected on a flat plane of inertia via toroidal fields and hyperboloids, then just consider that you may or may not know your model and your science and your facts about your model more than we do. And there are countless people out there and countless pages and societies and channels and Discord pages too, where people are pretending to be flat earthers and they share ridiculous content that no flat earthers think or believe at all. And that's what people immediately latch onto, or their Google search engines. They're looking at like how to debunk flat earthers, or flat earthers are stupid. This is why, like, just completely reinforcing their own biases and not changing up the algorithms at all in their search engines. And unfortunately, just looking at the first few pages of links and data and not going on uncensored browsers, right? So I'm on a VPN with Proton Plus. I have an upgraded package and I connect from different countries. And I'm not being sponsored to share that information. I want to see if you can actually see it. I can share it. Anyway, maybe if I pull it up, just show you what I mean by that. Okay. So connecting to Canada, for example, assigning an IP address. And so you'll see on the side here, you can see the net shield profiles, kill switch, different countries you can connect to. And you can connect to different countries. So right now I went from block malware only to block malware ads and trackers. And I generally have it on this, but it's also something that I just wanted to show you. So I'm going to connect back to Canada, even though we are very censored here. At least when you have a VPN and you upgrade your package, you can get away from a lot of the censorship because people are still on very, very censored browsers and just looking at Google. And so you're missing so much content. And even when you search, right, you have there's filtered searches that they're not aware of. And so it's usually set on a default, like moderate search, safe search. So you're not getting anything really that you would get had you just looked at the data that I have been referencing now for a very long time. And I will just give you an example again of just some links that I've put together and references over the years. I can get on I have so many tabs up. Sorry. So even with this, like, a lot of science in this link. Flatlanders from Eric Dubay, great friggin' book, documentary. I highly recommend watching it. No magnetic declination. There's a lot of stuff about Canadian history, mud flood history that also applies to all over the world. Lost history of Earth. I've talked about great fires, giant petrified trees for years. For years. Lost history. And then I even get into the COVID stuff with science and medical data and government data. And I've already gone through this in previous videos, but and this is all, again, like flat Earth stuff from really good pages. Sorry, from here on, Beyond the Imaginary Curve, great documentary as well. Level Earthwork. Santos Bonacci on Flat Earth's Hidden Continents. This is a great video. archive data, Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clues, Eric Dubé, 20 Proofs Earth's Not a Globe. I've shared these before. More Flat Earth Clues, Mark Sargent, NASA going nowhere since 1950s. I've shared this on Rumble, Don189, if you're looking from another platform. There's so much in here. So much in here. Flat Earth former NASA employee, Cindy Holland interview, Level with Me, great friggin', these are so good. Yeah. Got notes. I don't know if you can see this. There's just even about other conspiracies, good videos. Let me see here. Oh, and also NASA publications and Army publications that are archived. These ones. And so I'm going to get into the video. I just wanted to share some things that I've shared personally. It's from Great Awakening World, Truths and Secrets Revealed. Someone I'm following. I haven't liked it yet because I haven't seen the whole thing yet. But this is apparently 100% scientific proof. Ready.
Throughout history, various civilizations have questioned the shape of our planet, creating hypotheses according to their level of knowledge. Even today, scientists around the world question the truthfulness of the sphericity of the Earth, because even though it's presented as a truth, there is no unquestionable scientific evidence in this regard. Everything on which science bases itself are only evidences, and evidences are not proofs.
Got the preview.
In order to bring the light of knowledge on the true shape of the Earth, researchers of Dakila and Ziggurat's Technology Center joined with other scientists in an independent research that lasted 7 years, seeking scientific and definitive proof to demonstrate that Earth is indeed round or has another shape.
I don't think it looks like that. I don't think it looks like that, to be clear. I've said this. I've shared what close examples or models, but I also say that it's an electromagnetic reality that's being projected via toroidal fields. So essentially, it's like it's light in motion. You know, the Mandela effect. Ken Wheeler has like a really good. Well, he has multiple different videos with magnets under different lights and stuff like that, and lenses, and that's what I think would be more the closest reality.
In 2011, researchers from Dakila and the Ziggurat's Technological Center with the objective of proving the real shape of our planet.
So 2011, guys, that's a fairly decent time ago, and to still not be out there.
It was needed to prepare and carry out different experiments and data collection at several locations around the planet. Likewise, several experts were consulted on the possibility of the Earth not being spherical.
As is known by all mankind, the Earth has a spherical shape.
Hate to break it to you, but
And as a geographer and cartographer,
doesn't.
it is difficult for me to accept that the Earth is not a sphere. All this knowledge here, and the perception of man thinking and acting according to these rules here, he is fixed to this model. It is an idea that totally contradicts the concepts we have today of the sphericity of the Earth.
it's true.
It's really difficult. I, as an engineer, and I deal with the exact sciences. That's where we come from since childhood with these concepts. It is difficult for us to have another vision of this reality that we have since childhood. Because exclusively studying through this model, the struggle is very great. Because the amount of technological and scientific knowledge there is to ensure that these ideas are true is very great. The round Earth, with mathematical formulas all operative, in aviation, aeronautics, astronautics, and in satellites, all being placed with this formula. And this has been working. Water does not leave the Earth because it has a central force pulling it towards the center of the Earth, which is gravity.
It doesn't.
It makes us think that the Earth's gravity would not be the center of it. That's why I say it's a very shocking idea.
I've debunked gravity, and so many countless others have in other videos. So take a look at those. And if we have enough time, because this is an already a long video, like I can yet again show countless examples of how gravity, as defined by the pseudoscientists, is not factual at all. Continuously debunked.
So, when we deal with abstract things from the past, historical things, so there are several theories with a concrete thing settled within scientific knowledge. It is difficult. And when you break those pillars that sustain, what sustains? What sustains humanity are these pillars of knowledge that you have. So when you break one of such pillars, you dismantle a base that is considered to be true and scientific, where all knowledge of the Earth is based on that information. You break that paradigm, and it's really going to be a total unbalance for the people.
Oh well.
I'm ready to be convinced that what I know is not worth more.
Urandir and the researchers from Dakila and the Ziggurats Technological Center evaluated all possibilities for the realization of the scientific experiments in order to find proofs that determined the real shape of the Earth.
We did dozens of experiments. We will only present 7, as it was enough to determine the real shape of the planet. We use the methodology of Lilarial science because the results are much more precise. Most of our research was done in the waters because it makes up 70% of the planet's surface.
The first chosen experiment was to determine the curvature of the horizon at water level.
Let's record one of the main tests on the sphericity of the Earth. And this test with the respect to the masts of the ships, the distance that it is away from the coast, precisely to know if there is sphericity, if there is angulation in the Earth. The lower the humidity in the air, the further we can see. And the higher the humidity, the more distortions occur in our view. So the places to be chosen to do the tests have to be of very low humidity. The tests will prove that if the Earth is spherical, the waters will follow the curvature.
The first site chosen to start the experiments was Lagoa dos Patos in Rio Grande do Sul.
We are in Lagoa dos Patos, and there is a team. They are mounting a telescope with a great capacity of visualization and must follow the two boats that we will see in sequence. This image should also be registered by the cameras that are installed on the edge of the beach. We start from now on this new phase of the research, intending to travel a distance of about 40 kilometers over the lagoon, trying to show people there is a strait in this lagoon. That is, there is a flatness. And this is an objective today. One of the objectives that we will try to show, this flatness of the waters that puts in question the issue of the curvature of the globe. And the function of the ground crew is trying to perceive this displacement, to map and to generate a visual image of it.
The researchers mounted a Newtonian telescope specially designed for the experiment, with a high-definition camera attached to its eyepiece to register the entire process. The teams used high-tech positioning equipment to ensure the accuracy of the results.
Quando chegar lá, a gente passa a coordenada, mas vê se consegue localizar.
This same experiment was carried out in other places. One of them was in the Strait of Gibraltar in France.
We are here in the south of France, a seaside town called Le Bagarre. We set out together with the French researchers, coordinators of an association called Project Energy Action here in France, trying to prove the veracity of this seemingly absurd theory. I had the opportunity to participate in the phase of the tests that were held in Europe. It would be the filming of a boat, as far as possible from the coast. We find it very interesting the chance to be able to touch on a controversial subject, and to be part of these experiences, to demonstrate something that science does not accept today. It would be filmed through a telescope. We also used a camera attached to its lens, so we could film the experiment effectively.
This experiment was also carried out in Brazil at the Três Marias Dam in Minas Gerais.
I know for anyone that's watched my videos before, like I've shared countless videos of like long distance, like proof and facts with cameras and things like that we see well beyond the alleged curvature, Pythagoras theory, like even debunking it with Chat GPT as well, and so it's just to give different perspectives.
And another team carried out the same experiment on the beach of Santos, on the coast of Sao Paulo.
There we divided the teams in two. One stayed on the shore and the other went on a boat out at sea.
We brought a Newtonian telescope. We were also using a total station.
A gente tá gravando vocês aqui.
We are recording you here.
Is that so?
Tamo dando zoom aí em vocês.
We're zooming in on you.
Another telescope experiment was realized at Lake Titicaca in Peru.
I want to go there. I want to go to the Cordillera Blanca. I want to do hiking there. I want to go to Machu Picchu. It's so much friggin' money. And I don't want to go alone because of the safety reasons as a female going alone. So someone take me with you.
We are here on Amantani Island, on Lake Titicaca in Peru. We'll take target from this point to the Cordillera Blanca, which is the border with Peru and Bolivia that is exactly 110 kilometers from here. If the Earth was spherical, we will not be able to see.
Yeah.
At this distance, the curvature of the Earth would have a height of 237 meters, the equivalent of a building of 79 floors.
The cameras won't be able to get it, nor will we see at all with the naked eye. We will not see the other side, but with telescopes we do. One of the best points you could have in the world to really register the Earth's sphericity is on this location.
Would the team be able to see the other shore of the lake through the telescope?
Yes.
Back in the experiment with
Unless
the
they're
boats,
lying.
the researchers observed that after some time following the boats with the naked eye, they began to disappear on the horizon. First, the hull. Soon after, the boat was no longer visible. And finally, the mast goes down until it disappears completely, as the spherical Earth theory explains. When the boats reached a certain distance, it was no longer possible to see them with the naked eye. So does this mean that the Earth is really spherical? Another experiment was carried out using radio waves. Teams were separated at a distance of 14 kilometers on opposite sides of the lagoon.
Using the radio equipment, we use directional antennas at high frequency, parabolic antennas that concentrate the radio frequency beam, one directed to the other at different points.
The two antennas receive and transmit radio waves at the same time, and any obstacle between them would block the communication. They were meticulously positioned and directed to establish communication. The antennas were positioned at 1 meter from the water level at a distance of 14 kilometers. At this distance, the curvature of the Earth in a spherical model would generate an obstacle with a height of 3.84 meters, the equivalent of a 2-story house, which would prevent the communication. Could researchers have established communication?
Well, they did off the coast of Newfoundland, Bell and others, and so I'm going to assume yes, because that was a very long distance as well, which also proved the Earth was flat even then.
Another performed experiment was to measure the flatness of the waters with the use of light. The researchers opted for the use of a laser beam because its beam of light propagates in a linear way and can reach long distances with minimal loss of potency. The laser experiment consisted of two teams positioned on opposite sides. One team emits a laser beam parallel to the water toward another team. In the spherical model of the Earth, it would be impossible for the laser beam to be seen on the other side, since the supposed curvature of the Earth would be an obstacle in its trajectory. However, if the Earth is not spherical and the waters don't follow its curvature, it would be possible to visualize the laser light on the other side, for there would be no obstacles in its path. For more efficient results, this experiment with a laser beam was performed at a great distance, in the tens of kilometers, because the greater the distance, the greater the curvature of the Earth would be in the spherical model between the 2 points, which would prevent the laser beam from reaching the other side.
As we had some difficulty in getting high-power equipment, we decided to design and build our own equipment with a great power that could achieve a far greater reach than the laser equipments found in the market.
The device emits.
This is super interesting, but because I was already mentioning it, I did want to share the first transmission that I was talking about. On a cold December day in 1901, an Italian scientist named Guglielmo Marconi or Guglielmo Marconi heard 3 faint clicks on a receiver at Signal Hill, the letters S in Morse code. Few people initially realized it, but those clicks heralded a transformation in telecommunications. The clicks meant the first transatlantic wireless message in the world had been received from more than 2,000 miles away in Cornwall. While Marconi and others previously had success sending wireless signals over shorter distances, many believed the Earth's curvature would prevent long-distance wireless communications. Marconi instantly realized the importance of what he'd been trying to achieve, although presumably he could not imagine the billions of texts and phone calls per day sent and received a century later. So I could talk more about this, but even that, it's 2,000 miles away. Come on, guys. When they're saying that there's 6 feet of curvature at friggin' 3 miles. And so, I don't know what to tell you. do it yourself. Do the Pythagoras calculations yourself. Go to sea level. Get someone to go on a friggin' boat or something like that, and get a friggin' Nikon 900, whatever. Sorry, I'm looking for the video again. And friggin' test for yourself. Instead of being mean to people, test these things first.
Several beams of light and is set to reach the programmed distance without expanding, with the focus point on an object on the other side. 2 points were chosen at the coast of Sao Paulo, one on the beach of Caraguatatuba and another on the beach of Ilhabela. The team prepared the equipment during the afternoon to conduct the experiment at night. The devices are positioned at a height of 1 meter above the water level, directed towards the team on the opposite side.
The whiteboard or light receiver is 1 meter from sea level. The distance is 15,000 meters, 15 kilometers.
With the equipment ready, it's time to start the experiment.
South, 43 degrees.
This is the moment of truth. If the light is not visible on the opposite shore, it will be an indication of the sphericity of the Earth.
Or it could just be
Down.
Lying, or it could be issues with technical issues. It could be
Try to go
things.
down more.
Doesn't mean it's a freaking sphere.
All right. This position is good. Try to level it out for now.
Or blow, but
There. A little bit more. A little bit. There.
Did the laser light hit the other side, which would question the theory of the spherical Earth? The team's next step was to repeat this same experiment over longer
I'm not going
distances.
to let you know yet. They want to keep you waiting.
To continue the research, Lake Titicaca was chosen on the border between Peru and Bolivia. One team was in the town of Juli in Peru, and another on the beach in Copacabana, Bolivia.
Lake Titicaca has a width of 65 kilometers and a length of 165 kilometers. Other people say that the lake has spines, but it has not. It's a flat surface. It is a mirror Lake Titicaca here in Peru. If you look, for example, 30 to 40 kilometers, the lake looks flat.
That's true too. Oh yeah, I was saying that. I'm trying to. Well, I mean, I think I explained it well, but it might have been with Dave Weiss. But even talking about with the sun, with the reflection on the water, like that also shows that it's just like moving, like it's above us, but it's just moving further away, like the vanishing point, and not going beyond any friggin' curve. And countless other examples, like even in the Rockies.
Will the researchers be able to prove the flatness of Lake Titicaca?
It paid off. No.
We got here on the site, right on the side of the road. Down there in the center of the display is the town of Copacabana. For me, from what we are seeing here, the theory of water flatness is very convincing. But we will seek more evidence. It needs more results. We are Team 2. Team number 1 is in a town called Juli, also on the beach of Lake Titicaca. So here we are on the same level as them. There, team number 1 is approximately 2 meters above the level of Lake Titicaca. We are here 1 meter and 35 from the sand, and about 40 centimeters from the water level, as you can see there.
The teams are in position. All equipment has been checked, and the experiment begins.
That's good. Leave it there. We're pointing the laser.
The laser is then fired.
It hit it. There. To our right. To our right. A little bit to the left. Right there. We will blink.
Could the laser be visible on the opposite sides, which would prove the flatness of the waters? An unprecedented experiment developed by the researchers was to measure the geodesic curvature between two buildings over a long distance using high-precision GPS.
Considering the round planet, you have to mark a point from one extreme to the other, from a certain distance, precisely to prove mathematically whether the Earth is round or not. So we got 2 cities, far away. We take 2 buildings, one in a city in the south and one in a city in the north. This one in the south and this one in the north. What happens? If we measure this distance here at the base of the buildings, if the Earth is really spherical, when we measure buildings of the same height, when measuring the top, there has to be a difference, because if the Earth is spherical, it must have a superior length than the base.
To carry out the experiment of the geodesic curvature, 2 buildings were chosen of the same height and sea level, as far apart from each other as possible. High-precision GPS measurements are done at the base and at the top of each building. According to the theory of the spherical Earth, the distance of the measurements of the bases must be different than the measurements of the top, even in a few meters. But if the measurements are equal, this would show that the Earth has no curvature. In order for the results to come out with the best
I'll be right
possible
back. I just gotta
precision,
feed my dogs.
the CTZ researchers invited INCRA, the National Institute of Colonization and Agrarian Reform. This is one of the most respected organizations in Brazil and one of the best in the world in the area of topography. INCRA engineers and technicians met with the researchers from the CTZ and Daquila to decide on the realization of the experiment, which would be evidence or not of the sphericity of the Earth.
Analytically, we will see if really this line here will be perpendicular in relation to this horizontal distance between the 2 points. There probably, in relation to the extension of this perpendicular line, to that baseline, I believe it will be larger.
In the view of the INCRA technicians, the measures will be different. If this is true, it'll be one of the strongest evidences that the Earth is actually spherical. The first building chosen was at Torres Beach in Rio Grande do Sul. The second building was chosen in Natal, in Rio Grande do Norte, at a distance of 3,050 kilometers from each other, with the same altitude in relation to sea level.
This is a GPS L1, L2 signal receiver. We'll do a reading from this point to chart the base. And from that base, we'll do the vertical readings relating to our goal. And afterwards, we will use another equipment, which is a total station, to make the readings of the vertical and horizontal angles.
To what conclusion did INCRA surveyors arrive in relation to the curvature of the Earth? To carry out the last experiments, the researchers invited the consulted specialists at the start of the research to accompany and participate in the tests. Paulo Cesar Parra, civil engineer and geotechnical engineer, and a specialist in dam projects.
It's difficult. As an engineer, and I deal with the exact sciences, we carry this from childhood with these concepts. It is difficult to have another insight of this reality that we have since childhood.
Mauro Diaz, geographer and cartographer, specializing in aerophotogrammetry.
As is known by all mankind, the Earth has a spherical shape. And for me as a geographer and cartographer, it is difficult to accept that the Earth would not be a sphere.
In Minas Gerais, Brazil, the researchers performed the experiment of the geodesic curvature in the waters, accompanied by the guests.
We are here in the reservoir of the Três Marés hydroelectric plant. We have the complete team. We are going to start the verification of the horizontality of the water here in the reservoir. It is a large reservoir. We are in a stretch that will give us up to 18 kilometers. The test aims, in other words, the following. The dam has a certain level. If the leveled GPS measures give the same, This means that there is no curvature of the Earth. If the measurements are different, then this means that there really exists an Earth curvature in relation to sea level.
GPS geodésico.
We are with a geodetic GPS already installed here.
O topógrafo já está indo para outro ponto, pegando
The surveyor is
outro,
now going to another point,
ponto, pra
taking
já
another
iniciar
point to
uma
start a triangulation,
verificando, então,
thus verifying through this process, verifying the horizontality of the water. This first point in the elevation in relation to the sea level is of 556 meters altitude, so we're going to hit more than 3 points.
esse equipamento,
This equipment, the geodetic GPS, we have two devices. One installed here to get this point, and the other goes to the other points. We get 3 points, all at the water level, and check the level of that point. The accuracy of this equipment for this distance, a distance of 10 to 20 kilometers, is around a few centimeters.
Engineer Paulo Cesar Parra supervised the entire experiment thoroughly.
Okay, we'll pass the coordinates now. We are now here at point B, 7.5 kilometers from the starting point, and there we had 556 meters altitude on the lagoon level.
What will be the results of the 3 points measured by the researchers? Will they prove the flatness of the waters or the sphericity of the Earth? The researchers returned to the Tres Marias Dam, together with the guests, to carry out the experiment with a laser.
Nós estamos aqui na represa de Três Marias, procurando
We are here at the Tres Marias Dam, trying to explain various phenomena.
Nós temos que fazer
Since we have an open mind, we have to do an investigation,
pesquisa com várias experiências para
a research with several experiences to explain these variables.
Estamos indo ao ponto B.
We are going to point B, 18 kilometers from point A, where the first group is. We will perform the laser test at this distance just to check the Earth's curvature. We are here in the night experiment at the reservoir of the Tres Marias Dam. You can see the boats that brought us. Here in the lake, we are on the shore of the lake. The positioning of the laser is here by the lake, a meter or so from the water level. Whereas the other second laser, that is also in the same position, exactly 1.5 meters from the water level of the reservoir. We are in good climate. There is no wind, which greatly impairs water evaporation that impairs visualization. So the weather is relatively cold, so there is little evaporation as well. So, very favorable for our job.
Equipment positioned, the experiment starts. All experiments performed. The moment of truth has come. To what conclusion did the researchers arrive in relation to the experiments with ships? The researchers realized that after some time looking at the boats with the naked eye, they began to disappear on the horizon. First, the hull. Then it was no longer possible to see the boat. And finally, the mast lowered until it disappeared completely, as the spherical Earth theory explains.
Watching the boats with the naked eye, the initial impression is that they were disappearing, as if descending behind the horizon line.
When the boats reached a certain distance, it was no longer possible to see them with the naked eye.
For a moment, we were a little frustrated to be in the place to prove the sphericity of the air, as with a naked eye, we could easily come to that conclusion.
Does this mean that the Earth is even spherical? With the loss of eye contact, it's time for the team to use optical instruments in an attempt to still see the boats. If the boats are still visible through the equipment, it's proof that they have not traveled below the horizon. And to everyone's surprise, the boats were still there, visible.
I mean, the only reason why it's not a spoiler alert for me is because I've done it myself, and I've shared people doing it themselves. I've also done the recordings and all that other stuff as well. So don't even take their word for it, even though they have way better equipment than me, than friggin' anyone else. That could suggest otherwise. Like, do this stuff yourself, and then do the research on the Pythagorean model and calculations with the 8 inches per mile squared and any other friggin' Earth curve calculator they want to throw at you. It's,
The researchers realized that the images of the equipment presented some optical phenomena.
During the experiments, we perceived the formation of optical phenomena that we initially attribute to the Fata Morgana effect, which is the refraction of light in the layers of the atmosphere.
This phenomenon is very common in deserts. There are the famous mirages. The mirage is the Fata Morgana effect.
A formation of images occurs, virtual images that are not real at specific points.
They try to blame that with the Chicago skyline from 60 miles away was clearly seen, and the guy was trying to said that was a mirage too. What are you talking about? No.
Through the observations and the collected data during the experiments, we were able to determine that the optical phenomena had a certain pattern. After some distance, we began to have a visual loss, which increased to a distance where our direct vision was compromised.
When we lost the view with the naked eye, we used optical equipment, in this case the telescope, and the boat was still there. Only we realized that it was an inverted image, a mirror image.
We realized that the real image was practically disappearing, and we had the formation of an inverted virtual image, an inverted mirror image, when the angle of incidence of light on the surface, in this case water, tended to 0. This occurs because of the mirroring effect, where the reflection of the image occurs.
This phenomenon we recorded for the first time in Lagos dos Patos in Rio Grande do Sul. During the research, we sensed that each state of experiments was complementing the other.
With the unfolding of the experiments, we perceived that the optical instruments amplified the visual phenomena.
In the case of the use of Newtonian telescopes, in which its optics, which is of extreme precision, amplifies thousands of times the capacity of the human eye, could see things that we did not see.
This led to amplifying the visual phenomena we observed during the execution of the experiments. We deepened the studies, and we could determine that most optical phenomena, which are attributed to the refraction of light, called Fata Morgana effect, actually occurs by reflection. It is a reflective process of light on a surface with an angle tending to zero. With the observations we make, we have been able to promote a new physical theory that explains the Fata Morgana effect from a new optic, a new point of view.
Okay.
We call it the theory of optics applied to visual phenomena.
This conclusion helped us explain three phenomena that we know are illusions. Why the boat seems to disappear going down the horizon line, why first fades the hull and then the boat, and why when an observer is taller can see farther.
We conclude then that boats don't descend at the horizon.
I'm going to keep this video going because I want to see like what they say about the other tests. But then I'm going to also show you about the we can see too far. There's even like a huge list here. And I've also shared my references where it's just beyond, well beyond like the Earth curvature that they give you again, like at 3 miles, like at 6 feet of curvature allegedly, right? And then repeatedly refuting and debunking this. And it has nothing to do with light refraction or mirages or any of that stuff. Like, and it's continuously debunked. But I'm gonna like see how everything else goes with this. It's usually a credible source. But there's even people again like Ben Shapiro that can be really, really right and accurate on a lot of things, and then completely blindside and completely way off the mark on other things, including with what's going on in Israel and Palestine. And I would like to talk to him about that and share what I have already shared on Rumble and other platforms, just to give him the more accurate perspective, because he's not an analyst. He doesn't have my experience. Anyway. I'll just keep this going though.
And that we lose the ability to observe them, to see them in function of an optical phenomenon.
With this experiment, one of the main arguments of the spherical Earth theory, that boats disappear on the horizon due to the curvature, is totally refuted. This is the first proof of the flatness of the waters.
Well, he gets it.
Among the long-distance viewing experiments performed with telescopes, the one with the greatest impact was at Lake Titicaca, where the team tried to record images at 110 kilometers. The site was chosen due to the low humidity of the air at certain times of the year, which is a prime factor for the result.
We are talking here with a boatman of the boat May 3. He is an inhabitant of the island of the Uros. He is from the Aymara civilization. Is it possible to see the other side of the margin, or is this not possible?
Yes, it is possible. Always because our lake, we think, is like a table.
How many kilometers do you see?
The Nile River, same thing. Mississippi River, same thing.
I can see almost 60 or 50 kilometers.
Normal, no binoculars, nothing?
Yes, normal, without binoculars.
With the telescope, the team was able to record images at a distance of more than 100 kilometers, which would be impossible in the theory of a spherical Earth, as the curvature would have a height of 237 meters, equivalent to a 79-story building. This experiment is yet another proof that the Earth cannot be a sphere. And the result of the experiment with radio waves? The researchers used directional parabolic antennas, where in the spherical Earth model, Communication would be impossible, as the minimum obstacle would preclude this, since at the distance of the experiment, the curvature of the Earth would generate an obstacle of 3.84 meters in height.
We have connected.
Got it. We're with connection here. It's responding. The machine is responding. Returning. I'm having connection to your computer there. We have a ping back here. The connection is established. The signal that we wanted, we could scan there and managed to find it here. Communication was established. It has been proven that at this distance, we have been able to establish communication. We know that any interference in the way would mean not achieve communication. The test with radio waves was, let's say, unusual. Because at the time, we set our antennas, and with the design of the spherical Earth, we started to work with almost complete obstruction of the Fresnel zone, which is the zone, the region where the propagation of radio waves occurs, which would make communication impossible between the 2 points. However, with the idea of leveled waters, we would already have approximately 50% of the Fresnel zone unobstructed, which could allow communication between the 2 points, even if precarious. And how it happened.
This is yet another proof of the flatness of the waters, refuting the spherical model of the Earth.
So did Bell. Like that first correspondence, over 2,000 miles away. Come on.
What about the geodetic curvature experiment performed on the buildings?
No.
Measurements were done of the bases and tops of 2 buildings, one in Torres, Rio Grande do Sul, and another in Natal, Rio Grande do Norte, 3,050 kilometers apart from each other. According to the theory of the spherical Earth, the distance of the measurement of the bases must be different than the measurements of the top, even in a few meters. But if the measurements are equal, this would show that the Earth has no curvature. Remembering the opinion of the INCRA engineers before the experiment,
probably there will be in relation to the extension of this line, perpendicular to the baseline. I believe it will be longer.
Thinking of the Earth as a globe, the initial expectation was that the measurements were different.
But when the results arrived, the base and the top measurements were the same, showing that the 2 buildings are leveled upright. And here the opening angle, where we read the point here, the base of the building and its height. As we do this calculation here, on this plane, we will always find this distance here. On this plane, we will always find this distance here.
the identical measurements of the distance between the bases and the tops prove that between the 2 buildings there is no curvature, proving that the Earth has no spherical shape. In the experiment of the geodesic curvature in the water, 3 points were obtained with a high-precision GPS on the Tres Marias Dam in Minas Gerais, whose extension exceeds 70,000 meters.
This first point, the elevation in relation to sea level is at 556 meters altitude.
The second point also presented the same result, 556 meters of altitude. If the third point were different, the water would be following the curvature of the Earth. If the measurements are the same, it will be proven that there is no curvature, but indeed flatness in the waters. And the measure of the third point surprised the researchers.
Here we also obtained the same measure, 556 meters at the level of the lagoon. We analyzed the data collected by the equipment, and all points show the same result, the same altitude, thus showing that the water in the dam remains level. These data overthrow the theory of sphericity, because according to this theory, the water should follow the curvature of the Earth. Only in a curve there is no level.
The three altitude measurements were identical, proving the leveling of the water, proving that the Earth has no spherical shape. And what is the result of the laser experiments? Did the team see the laser light on the other side?
We are here in the nocturnal experiment in the Trey-Marais Reservoir. We are on the shore of the lake. The positioning of the laser is here by the lake, a meter or so from the water level where the second laser is. It is also in the same position, exactly 1.5 meters from the water level of the reservoir.
Laser doesn't work in the mood.
As you can see, the two devices are communicating at a distance of 18 kilometers. We have successfully done an experiment today, and we are proving that the Earth does not have the format that science believes it has. So as we are at 18 kilometers, there is no water level difference from here to the other crew that is 18 kilometers away. It's exactly level. On this distance, there should be a visual obstruction by virtue of the curvature of approximately 6 meters, and we were able to get the signal from a laser cannon from the other shore at 18 kilometers on a little more than a meter from the level of the lagoon. This is the ultimate test. There is no curvature.
To guarantee the accuracy of the result, the researchers decided to conduct a surprise experiment. With the team still in place, a beam of light was lit that should be visible at 18 kilometers on the side where the team of surveyors was, who used a total station. At that distance, the Earth curvature would have risen 6.3 meters, equivalent to a 3-story building.
Do you see? Yes. Down. Can you see? Yes. Down. Can you see? Can you see? Yes. I am at water level. At water level. So okay, I will write down and you read the angles and the coordinates. There you take that height where it was blinking at the water level. It's on water level. But on how many meters high? 0. It's blinking in the water, right? It's in the water.
Oh, wow.
10 centimeters from the water. Okay.
20 years, that sounds frustrating. I actually have lost friends and family over this. I don't want to get choked up over it because it's people I actually really did love, but it is what it is. The truth is necessary. And so anyway, you're welcome. And that's the frustrating thing too. It's like it doesn't matter how much scientific or government data you share or experiments or research you do, they're not looking at it, and it's refusing. It's not that they're bad people. It's not that they're not smart geniuses or whatever. It's just an unwillingness to look, right.
So I'm going to write down the angle
why.
here. Wait, Wilson.
Don't know why.
During the experiment, a laser was added without warning the topographers.
Do you see any other light? I see it. I did see. I saw a laser now. He did see. He saw the laser. It die off. Lower the laser. All right, wait a minute, Wilson. Now I saw the laser. Did you see the laser? Not now. I saw the laser there. Lower a little bit. Do you see the light still? I see the laser there. Do you see the light still? I see the laser there. That's good. Just a minute. Oh, Randy, what's going on here? Dude, it's over. It's done. At the water level. It was there at 2 meters and something. Well, now it's ruined. Now, so anything else needs to be done. We can go, right? We are with a telescope. We have a precision level, an optical level, with a topographer. We have a total station, which is a topography equipment that is used for measurements and level determination. So we are here 18 kilometers marked with a GPS on an island, on a point of Lagoa, 18 kilometers from the topography equipment there with the crew. So we put a light beam, and then the topography equipment can see the light at water level. The light placed on the water level can be visualized by the topography equipment.
The other guy seems a little
It is
bit like
positioned 18 kilometers.
in shock still, maybe. Maybe not.
And the engineer remained perplexed by the outcome of the experiment.
We can go, right?
This is unquestionable proof that the Earth is not a sphere, for the waters are level. And the result of the laser experiment carried out at Lake Titicaca.
It is hitting the hill on the hill. Look over there. It is hitting a tree above us here. Look at theirs. Look at theirs. Are you pointing yours too? We're seeing. We see yours. It's just too high. It's very high. Look there. You saw. In this direction. It made it. There, it appeared again. Go. There, it made it again. That's it. Stop there. More to the left. Stop there. Stop. Through light here. It is illuminating here. It is moving there too. Here it is illuminating everything. We have already done the first tests, and the laser of team number 1 has already appeared here in the treetops that are on our side. Then the trees here have about 2 meters, 2.5 meters. So there we start directly discarding the hypothesis of the Earth being spherical, because we are 35 kilometers away from team number 1 in a straight line from end to end, on the lake, on lake level. And according to the theory of spherical Earth, That 35 kilometers should give at least 23 meters and 98 centimeters of Earth's curvature. So a light communication would be impossible as we just have had. The result was positive here. We could see the laser on the other team there, and they could see us too. More than 30 kilometers, so there was no curvature. Total flatness. The research here was excellent.
Bom, pessoal, aqui, com esse teste de visibilidade,
Here with this laser visibility test,
a equipe 2 e a equipe 1 conta 35
Team 2 and Team 1 at 35 kilometers.
visual,
There really was an unusual commutation at a distance of 35 kilometers, and that there should be an arc of approximately 24 meters. Neither Group 1 or 2 should be seeing the lights.
But how could one project a laser beam from one shore to another, 35 kilometers away, if, in the theory of the spherical Earth, there would be a curvature of 24 meters in height, and the laser equipment was positioned at 2 meters high, parallel to the water level?
Parallel to the water level. Not
Lake
anchoring up there.
Titicaca has a width of 65 kilometers and a length of 165 kilometers. Other people say that the lake has spines, but it has not. It's a flat surface. It is a mirror Lake Titicaca here in Peru. If you look, for example, 30 to 40 kilometers, the lake looks flat.
Oh, immature.
This is yet another unquestionable proof of the flatness of the waters, which definitively overturns the theory of the sphericity of the Earth. Gravity is the theory that science considers as the main factor to keep everything in harmony on a spherical planet.
Gravity. Let's see what they have to say, and if it's not good enough,
Water does not
I'm
come
gonna
off the
friggin'
Earth
debunk it.
because it has a central force pulling towards the center of
Gotta
the
get
Earth,
prepared.
which is gravity. It does not exist. According to the experiments, gravity does not exist.
Okay, good.
From the fundamentals of nature, Plum and Level overthrow the theory of gravity.
Okay, I'm ready.
The plumb is an instrument used to gauge verticality. It is of fundamental use in civil construction to guarantee the verticality of the buildings.
This tool we use to get the wall in the right plumb because it cannot be out of plumb because the wall can fall. So this plumb is used for this, to keep it right and steady on the plumb. Neither there nor here, right there in the plumb.
The use of the plumb is the only way to ensure that construction is being erected in vertical alignment. The level is an instrument used to measure inclinations and is fundamental to ensure horizontality. It's used extensively in the areas of civil construction, surveying, photography, and astronomy, among others. The most common model is the bubble.
Any construction has to have level and plumb, because if it gets out of plumb and level, it can fall. That house can fall. This equipment is a system of communicating vessels and is used in the laboratory to demonstrate the behavior of water leveling.
Yeah, it seeks level.
In whatever position we place the system, the water that is inside will always search its level. This behavior of the leveling can be proven not only in laboratory, but we can prove this in field experiments in ponds, lakes, and the seas.
This is a micro version of what we find all over the planet, leveled waters.
By verifying that the water remains level, both in micro and macro environments, it's also verified that gravity does not exist, because if this force existed, the waters would follow the curvature of the planet. But then, what forces act to maintain harmony on a non-spherical planet? Researchers from Dakila and the Ziggurats Technology Center have concluded that among the fundamentals of nature, the four main forces that, acting together, hold us firm to the ground are magnetism, density, pressure, and light.
Light in motion.
The researchers called this set of forces MDPL. Among the four MDPL forces, magnetism, in contrast to what science considers, is one of the strongest forces that act on Earth.
Yeah.
It's the main force that keeps everything in balance, from the bonds of an atom to the Earth's magnetic field. One way to study the performance of the magnetic field of bodies is to perform a simple experiment where we transform into mechanical waves the kinetic energy produced by the magnetic field in an object. This can be reproduced by throwing an object into the water. Whatever the shape of the object, the waves produced will always be circular, as they are modulated by the Earth's magnetic field. Note that regardless of the shape of the object, the waves produced in the water will always have circular patterns. This happens because the waves in the water are being modulated by the influence of the Earth's magnetic field.
It does not exist. According to these experiments, gravity does not exist. But going even further, to prove or to sustain the sphericity of the Earth, without people falling, buildings, animals, constructions, the waters especially going off, flying out into space, to justify people stay fixed on the Earth's surface without being thrown off by the spin of the planet, they created a magical force called gravity.
A weak force, weaker than
But this
magnet.
magical force is torn down by the plumb and level, because the physical behavior of water is to seek leveling. Or is physics wrong too? If the physical behavior of waters, according to our physics, is to seek leveling,
Repeatable.
how will it fix itself to a ball on a sphere without flying off? Space outside without seeking its level? So these are two contradictory things. And even more, to justify the seasons, they decided to tilt a ball 23 degrees. There is no way to tilt a ball, a sphere. Impossible. Let's see, how could a planet or a ball, a sphere, be tilted and waters not get off? But it has the imaginary axis. The imaginary axis, even if there were a physical axis, what would be inclined is the axis and not the sphere.
I've explained that in previous videos, yesterday as well, I believe, where you've got the ecliptical path, the sinusoidal cycloid path of the sun above us. Okay, the circular friggin' path that does a sine wave if you break it down by hemisphere. And then within that, okay, the equatorial ring. Okay, you've got the Tropic of Cancer, which is closer to the northern hemisphere on the center of the Earth. And then you've got the tropic, then you've got the equator, and then you've got the Tropic of Capricorn, which is further away on the of the ring. I'm going to see if I can just pull up from pictures. I'm just going to have to. You're just going to have to bear with me for 1 second. I just like to be precise with things, and so I have to close down so many things. I like to be precise, and so I want to make sure that if I'm explaining something that I'm, or if you're seeing something, if I could further elaborate, because no one else talks about this. Okay. It's not allowing me to do it. Okay, I'll try again. Now, okay. Now it's letting me. Okay, so you've got within the firmament, within the dome, within the contained environment, or within what I like to call the magnetic fields, the electromagnetic fields, the toroidal fields that contain this environment. We have the sun, the luminaries above, and on the sun's path, it travels from. This is the Tropic of Capricorn. Sorry, this is the Tropic of Cancer, equator, Tropic of Capricorn. Okay, so that's why in our winter months, it's when the sun is further away. It appears to be lower in the sky, and we have longer nights, shorter days, what we're experiencing now. And then within this path of the equator, it never goes more than 23.4 degrees north latitude and 23.4 degrees south latitude of the equator on its ecliptical path within the firmament, okay, which also proves that it's not 93 million light years away or 93 million miles away, whatever they like to allege. And even with the corpuscular rays also prove that. But anyways, I digress. I'm going through, but I just wanted to clarify that as well with its path. And that's why they like to lie to us and say that it's like the axis or the angle of the globe is 23.4 or 23.5 degrees to the sun. No, they're just using pseudoscience to continue to deceive us. And it goes through the ecliptical path, through the zodiac signs, constellations, 15 degrees every hour, 30 degrees every 2 hours through the constellations to the zodiac signs. And again, I'm being redundant, but there you go.
Any position that places the sphere, there is no way to tilt it but the axis. An imaginary axis. That is an illusion. If it is imaginary, it's an illusion. So it's another contradiction. They created this axis that does not exist to justify the seasons in a sphere, in a globular model. That's not possible. Well, in a sphere, we certainly do not live. Because the physical behavior of the waters does not match the reality of the facts. And through the plumb and level, this theory is totally overthrown. Extinct. What would Earth be like? The first sight, the Earth is absolutely flat. But this plane goes where? Is it square? Is it a circle?
Looking from above, the impression you have is that the Earth is flat.
Scientists of the past had only the eyes to observe and the reasoning to create possibilities. The older ancients used a model of the flat Earth, square Earth, triangular, and geoid. Later, other scientists defined the most suitable model would be spherical, geoid, putting a stake at one point and another at 800 kilometers, but he did not take into account the altitude, had no GPS, had nothing. So, there is really no way how these ideas, with the technology of today, can be considered, because everything we have today overthrows these theories. Any experiment today can prove that the globe doesn't exist. It's impossible.
But then, how can we determine the real shape of the planet? The CTZ researchers collected information on the movement of the sun, the moon, and the stars in different parts of the planet. In this research, which lasted several years, images were recorded by cameras installed in all these places during the day and at night.
We found several differences in the trajectory of the sun. One of the most significant was between Australia and Argentina, which are in the same tropic.
While in Argentina, the sun moves at about 180 degrees. In Australia, it moves almost 270 degrees, which would be impossible in a spherical Earth model. Another significant example was in the Canary Islands, where a time-lapse of the stars showed a circular movement incompatible with the spherical model of the Earth.
Yep. Polaris.
This movement would only be
If you look at Polaris and the constellations, luminaries moving in near perfect symmetry around Polaris, which never moves.
justified if the place were near the poles in a spherical Earth, which is not the case.
Nós só não entendemos
We do not understand that with so many discrepancies we have found,
com a tecnologia
and with the technology available today,
nem um
no
pesquisador,
researcher,
nem um
no
cientista,
scientist,
nem um astrônomo,
no astronomer,
nenhuma agência espacial
no
do
space
mundo
agency in the world has
percebeu nada
perceived
disso.
any of this.
The discrepancy in the comparison of the trajectory of the Sun and the stars between the different points, when related to its geographical position in the current world map, allowed to generate a new geographical model of the continents. In this model, the continents present a size and position somewhat different from the current world map, having the North Pole to the center and the other continents around it. This new model was called convex Earth.
We call it convex Earth because the continents have a convex relief, starting at the sea level, racing to the highest point, and returning to the sea level.
According to altimetric analyses, all the continents present a convexity in their relief. According to the investigations, in the convex Earth, the magnetic field has the following layout, with the magnetic North Pole located in approximately the middle of the planet.
This is like not the greatest visual representation of it, but like with the toroidal fields and stuff like that, so far so good. With the water being in a contained environment, possibly circular.
Due to the
Hey, plates are circular too, does not make them friggin' a globe or a sphere.
magnetic field, anywhere on the surface of the planet
And I don't believe the fucking flat Earth is a plate either. Just to be clear with that as well. Toroidal fields, hyperboloids.
represents its entire border. The magnetic field is also responsible for modeling the shape of our atmosphere, which takes the form of a plane convex lens. In this way, the atmosphere, formed by several gases and water in gaseous state, takes on the characteristic of a gigantic magnifying glass with a high degree of refraction, responsible for day and night. The following experiment simulates the behavior of day and night. We use a flat convex lens, a model of the continents, and an external light source simulating the sun. The result is a model of day and night in the corresponding time
Just like yin and yang.
zones.
What helped us a lot in this research was the information we collected at our own astronomical observatory of the Sigurats Technology Center.
Huge misshapen asteroid floating in space, surrounded by a very high layer of ice all along its edge.
See, like that's not my opinion. Just to be clear, again. I've shared a couple of times my closest approximate model to be used, and it's from I think it was from Understanding, like someone that he had brought on. But the astrotheosophical stuff, it's in that video with that guy that friggin' has like the different templates and models that he uses to go over and discuss like the different magnetic field areas.
And how do satellites work in the convex Earth?
The magnetic field of our planet is primarily responsible for keeping the satellites in orbit. Briefly, there are two types of satellites, the geostationary and the orbitals. The geostationary ones are apparently fixed in a position over the surface of the planet. I say apparently because its orbit has to be corrected periodically. Orbital satellites are in orbit over the surface of the planet. They have different routes and altitudes according to each application.
Dome. You're saying they do because they don't.
And why do Earth photos taken from space show a curvature?
We launched several atmospheric probes, and we noticed that the images recorded in the upper layers of the atmosphere begin to show a certain curve after a certain height.
It's the lens that's being used, convex lens for the camera.
This occurs in the high layers of the atmosphere, above the stratosphere, that is. In an airplane window, you would not notice this curvature. We observed that this effect does not occur due to the supposed curvature of the planet, but due to two factors. The first, due to the large flat convex lens of our atmosphere, and the second, according to the theory of curvature of light proposed by Albert Einstein, experimentally proven in 1919.
According to Albert Einstein's theory, the mass of a large
that's not true.
object can create a curvature in space-time around it, able to bend the path of a
There's so many good people in this video, but that guy, man, that's 2 for 2. That's like not
beam of light in its vicinity. This phenomenon was called
I don't even hear that. Einstein, by the way, smart guy, continuously debunked and read off of cue cards. Okay, and Stephen Hawking, who everyone thinks is this freaking genius. People really believe that when he was like mumbling and grumbling and saying absolutely nothing, that there was a guy that actually understood what he was saying and was able to translate paragraphs. No. Facts. Like, right? Facts. Yeah, that's why I like watching these videos, because like you got to catch these people that are out there. That they want to
The coasts,
that's just their model. I already shared with you like if you're looking down, what would be a good representation, and that's what Dave Wise uses on his Flat Earth Sun Moon clock app, which I just pulled out too for this video, and yeah, it's a great app. Again, I'm already about an hour and a half in. Oh, but I also wanted to share some more scientific stuff, because I was going to keep it scientific, but just about light and projection screens and stuff like that, and the inverse square law. I've shared this before, but like I hope that this makes sense to people, just to also like refute like the like this nonsensical discussion about like the sun being 93 friggin' million miles away, and being able to reflect its rays on the earth as it does. Like that's not a possibility. And I'm not saying that to insult anyone, so don't take it personally when I say this, please. It's not personal. It's science.
I'm going to do a quick demonstration of the inverse square law for light. I have one of those old style overhead projectors, a mask on it that has a square cut out of it, so I can project a square up on the board. And right now, the projector is 1 meter away from the wall.
I've actually shared this
So
video.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the outline of that square on the wall. And now I'm going to move the cart so it's 2 meters away from the wall instead of 1. This is a 2 meter long stick. And so, here we go, 2 meters away. Again, I'm going to outline the lit box. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the projector so now it's 3 meters away. Now I'll trace the outline again, and then we'll turn on the room lights. And I'll turn off the projector. This was at 1 meter. That amount of light was hitting the board, concentrated in that area. But when I moved the projector twice as far away, so it was at 2 meters, you can see that the same amount of light was spread out over an area 4 times larger. So the light is less concentrated, it's less bright. Same amount of power, same wattage of light, same luminosity, to use the astronomy term, is spread out over 4 times the area. And when I move the projector to 3 meters away, then that same amount of light was spread out over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 boxes. So
And then you also get like the golden triangle, golden angle, Fibonacci spiral.
Brightness of the light.
Through light.
Be 1/9. If you triple the distance, the brightness of the light source becomes 1/9 as great.
That's the sun's path, like it does a sine wave. So the higher. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh, there you go. See, I didn't watch this video beforehand. It's just a good model. It's just a little bit easier. Let's move. Okay, so that was really friggin' interesting. I hope that you enjoyed it as well. A lot of science in there, a lot of research, a lot of experimentation, a lot of advanced technology and equipment used by people that clearly know. They seem to know what the frig they're talking about, and not biased. And if you look at my video from this morning, I did talk about a lot of points, but I did bring in some more stuff that very clearly show the reality of the world. But I will leave it at that. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful day.